Okay, I know you're sick of Prismari. I'm sick of Prismari. But the thing is, Resonating Lute is pretty cool. Storm Chaser's Talent, not very cool. Traumatic Critique, pretty cool. Colorstorm Stallion, not very cool. Resonating Lute, playing big fancy spells, pretty cool. Boomerang Basics, bounce my Storm Chaser's Talent, not very cool. Traumatic Critique your face for 10, pretty cool. So, now that we've got that cleared up, I'm going to build myself a Resonating Lute deck. When I reviewed this in Spoiler, I didn't think it was very good. I mostly compared it to Wilderness Reclamation, which may have been a mistake. Wilderness Reclamation could protect you in the sense that you could leave up 4 mana the turn you played it. This, you can't do that unless you play it on turn 6, in which case you leave up 4 mana. But I've heard people have been having success with it, so I want to give it a try. I haven't loved the lists I've seen, and so I'm going to build my own with you all here today. First of all, I'm not sure what the mana base is going to look like. I think I'm interested in playing Jeskai, so I could have Jeskai Revelation. I might want Erode. I might want Day of Judgment, but I need to look at the mana. So let's see. One of the things we do get from this set is we now have Stormcarved Coast and Sundown Pass, which are pretty nice lands for the style of deck, because we're going to be going along. We're going to have lots of 3 and 4 drops where we want our lands to come into play untapped, but they don't work well with the Verges. And Verges are sort of like Verges Shocklands are the strongest combination in Standard at the moment. That being said, if I am playing Jeskai, all my Verges are pretty awkward. The Sunbillow Verge is white first. The blue-red Verge is red first, which is okay. And then the blue-white Verge is also white first. And I'm going to be very blue-red focused, I think. With Traumatic Critique, I want to be able to cast this on turn 2. I think a lot of the strength of this card is being able to use the like card filtering mode on it early if you need to hit land drops. And if my Verges aren't on, they're not going to be producing the right colors of mana. So maybe what I do is I build a new kind of mana base where I incorporate these quote-unquote slow lands along with my shock lands, along with, I think the card it's called is Biblioplex. This land's pretty nice. The mana creature ability on it is kind of medium, but it's better than nothing. And then it essentially adds one of any color in a deck with a ton of instants and sorceries, which is what we're going to be because that's what the loot requires of us. So I'm thinking my deck's going to look something like this. Might want Hallowed Fountain, of course, as well. The reason I build the mana base first when I'm building a deck is it sort of shows me what I'm going to be allowed to do, so to speak. Now, if I can fit in some colorless lands, I think the one I would probably play is Hamlet. For these sorts of controlling decks that don't really have a lot of board presence, Bossing Say can be a big problem, and the Hamlet's a great answer to that. Could also turn off my opponent's Fountain Ports or Demolition Fields. Overall, it doesn't cost too many slots, unlike my own Demolition Fields would, where I'd be inclined to play multiple of those plus the basics to be able to fetch and whatnot. I'm going to try to fit in 2 colorless lands. I think I should be able to. Let's go ahead and get my basics in there. The question, I suppose, is whether I'm going to want to be able to support double white for Day of Judgment. Day of Judgment being, you know, the most efficient sweepers I could play. Otherwise, I'm just looking at playing some combination of like what, Fire Magic, and I think the new sweeper is called Splash Technique. Splatter, maybe? Here it is. So this is a really good card. Works well with loot too, because if you have a ton of mana, it's nice having a card that draws 4. I do worry that maybe the Wrath mode isn't enough. But if I think back to like the old Wilderness Reclamation decks, they didn't so much need sweepers because they would just use cheap removal on small things, and then they would use their mana doubler plus their X spells to kill big things. And that would certainly make my mana better. Obviously, if this is in play, Day of Judgment is pretty easily castable. But I'd like to be able to cast Day of Judgment without having to play this first. Yeah, what would I have to do for Day Judgment. So for Day Judgment, you need like 16 white sources, I would say. If I had 4 halls, I don't really want to play plains, but I guess I would have to play plains with Day Judgment. If I had like 4 Sundown Pass, that's 8. I'd also have to play like, if I played 4 Hallowed Fountain, 12, 13. And then I'd also have to play a lot of Sacred Foundries. Which point I'd kind of not really be playing Steam Vents because I don't want that many Shocklands in my deck. Although I could maybe play Stormcarved Coast instead of Steam Lands. But Stormcarved Coast, you know, I want my blue and red to come play early. So Sundown Pass is nice because the white cards I envision playing are like Erode, maybe Day of Judgment, and Jeskai Revelation. And those cards require white late. So this is kind of the perfect land. Whereas like Steam Vents is a better shock land because like if I need to shock early, I'm most likely going to need blue or red. So yeah, Day Judgment would be hard. It'd be certainly doable, but it'd be hard. Okay, let's assume we're not going to use Day Judgment, especially since we're also going to play these colorless lands. I think maybe I would have to get rid of these if I wanted Day Judgment. So we'll consider that a cost. And yeah, we'll see if this is good enough. So in terms of what I might play then of white for white, it's like Erode in some numbers, maybe 4, maybe not even, maybe just a couple. Jeskai Rev. Let's say I play 4 Erode. Do I want like Lightning Helix too? Probably not. That seems hard to cast. So if I did this, 4, 8, 12, 13 white. I don't really want to plains. 13 white, even 12 white, plus the 4 loots. Yeah, this is plenty. So that's nice because then all the rest of my lands can be blue and red. Okay, I like this. So how many lands is this? 18. Probably going to play 26 land, maybe 25, probably not 27. I'm going to have at least 4 critiques to cast on turn 2 if I need to, and realistically, I'm probably also going to have consult the star charts in my deck. Go ahead and end that. So, yeah. Let's go with 4 Steam Vents. I'm thinking I might not even need this many Hallowed Fountains, but I guess if they're killing my loots or something, I might still need them. Maybe this is too many Biblioplex. 4, 8, 12. The Biblioplex is pretty nice. It doesn't help cast loot, but it casts pretty much anything else in the deck. Maybe I'll only play 3 since it is kind of a pain land. The other land I could play, just because right now I basically don't have any tap lands, is, well, I could play like a creature land. The thing is the blue-red creature land is not very good. It's Restless Spire. It's just a 2/1 first strike. But I might be inclined to play Thundering Falls. Surveil is nice. In which case I could probably play less Steam Vents. And then the Coast. Again, I want my blue and red to come in early, untapped. Might cut that. Just play more basics, probably. Well, you know, I think the other card I want is... or the other lands I want... some combination of Mistrise Village and Quarry. Mistrise Village is going to be nice, I think. We're going to have access to a lot of mana with a loot in play. And so being able to give our Revelation or a giant critique uncounterable sounds nice. Maybe you don't need 2. Certainly 1 sounds good. It comes into play untapped only if we have a mountain, and right now we only have 6 mountains. So that's not a lot of mountains. Maybe we should play like this. That gives us 8 mountains. And we just have 1. That's no big deal. Quarry could also be good. If we end up playing with counterspells, this might not be worth it, but if we don't have counterspells, it's probably pretty good. And Plains or Island, that's 6, 10, 12 already. So that's all pretty nice. How many lands is this? 25. I could maybe do 25, but 26 is probably better. You know, I probably want Spell Snare in this deck, actually, because it's just a strong card. And also, on turn 5, I could maybe force this through a counterspell with a snare, or protect it from, like, an Abrade, or some other disenchant effect that costs 2 mana. So maybe I should be maximizing my untapped blue right now. I've got 3, 10, 12. That's a lot. That's pretty good. I could play the 4th Biblioplex. But, you know, maybe I should just play a Verge. Like a red Verge. If my hand is like Verge Biblioplex, I can play turn 2 Critique at least. If it's Verge plus these lands, you know, 6. Yeah, I've got a lot of stuff it works with. 14. Yeah, I think Verge is pretty reasonable, and I should maybe even have more. Like maybe one of these Thundering Falls. And this will mean all my tapped, you know, my Steamits, my Hallowed Fountain will be able to come into play tapped a lot, which is nice. But I'll still have lots of untapped lands. I maybe should have 2 Mistrise. I'm not sure how important this is. Just seems like it's going to come into play tapped a decent amount of the time. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, let's do this. And we could always change it afterwards, but now we at least know what we're working with. So this gives us 4, 8, 11 white. Maybe I want 12 in case I need to cast Erode on turn 3 or before I have Lute in play or something. Play another Hall. Yeah, over the Verge. Sure. And then the Hall, you know, it's a creature land. So 12 white, 4, 8, 14, 17 red. That's pretty good. 4, 8, 17 blue. If I end up playing counterspells, I might need more blue mana. But let's see. Let's work on the spells. So, Lute. What other interaction can I have? I could have Fire Magic. This is nice because I can cast it early to pick off some otters or whatever. And then also with a lot of mana, I'll be able to do the 6 mana mode. So maybe between that and Splatter Technique, those will be my sweepers. I think I want to play some number of Flashback. Pretty sweet card from the new set. Could be a Fire Magic, an Erode, a Consult, a Jeskai Rev. Probably just play 4 Consult. I maybe want stock up also. Though right now this is plenty of card drawing. This is, you know, 13. Might as well try 1 Charm. I think this card's a little... It's versatile, right? But it's a little weak. But that might be good as a 1 or 2 of. Be able to bounce something or do the Surveil mode seems fine. Both Critique and Consult and Lute all in a way are pretty good on 4 mana. So maybe I do want some stock ups actually. I'll split the Consults and the stock ups. And then I probably want some more removal. You know, I might play 2 Flashback, and I might play like an Abrade, a Get Lost, probably over one of these Erodes, some Sears. And in this way, I have a different variety of things to get back with Flashback, which is pretty nice. Get my Spell Snares in there. If I play Resonating Lute on turn 5, then I can hold up a 2 mana spell. Maybe I should have some counterspells in here. I mean, the best 2 mana counterspell in these colors is No More Lies. But that costs white mana on turn 2, so I'd have to change my mana base. Am I willing to do that? And Sundown Pass doesn't really come into play untapped. So I'm not set up at all to use No More Lies. What would the mana base have to be for me to use No More Lies? I could go to a Verge mana base where the Verges tap for white. But if I did that, then I lose some of my blue-red on turn 2 consistency for like Prismari Charm and the like. What would that look like? I think overall that would probably look like no Sundown Pass and just like Verges and Shocks. Maybe some Thundering Falls. Or maybe the turn 1, the Meticulous Archive, which is the blue-white Surveil land. Because I could play that on turn 1. And then play one of my blue-red duels on turn 2 to have No More Lies. No More Lies is a good card. I think that would be reasonable. I don't know that I need counterspells so much, though. Like, what if I just had Spell Snare and, like, a Negate and an Essence Scatter or something? I mean, like, a Negate and Essence Scatter are more castable with my mana base by a lot. They're less versatile, so I'm less inclined to put a lot of them in my deck, but they would still give me the benefit of having like a late game counterspell. Alternatively, I could play 3 mana counterspells. What are my options for those? Like Funny enough, as much as I'm a 3 steps ahead hater, this could potentially be the deck for it, because you actually might realistically do the full mode on it, especially with loot. Copying loot doesn't actually do much because this doesn't do much to have multiples, because you're just adding 2 mana of each land. Each land is just gaining the ability to tap for 2, not adding extra, so it doesn't stack. And in fact, that might mean I should play less loots. Like maybe 3 is a better number. That being said, they're really good when they're down. Not sure. I think I might do like 1 negate, 2 3 steps. I might just play 4 loot. I mean, he always played 4 Wilderness Reclamation. Those did stack. But also, once you get a loot into play, you're just really going off. So it's probably worth it. Notably, this, if I leave up 1 extra mana, I can't actually cast No More Lies, because it only adds 2 mana, 1 color. So maybe Scatter and Negates are better. Or even like Long River's Pool. Leaving up blue. I could play loot, leave this up. I could counter anything. My opponent would have to draw a card if I counter a non-creature, but hey, that's fine. That being said, I can't really reliably leave a blue on turn 2. With how my mana base is currently constructed, I'd have to cut some red for some blue, and I've got 6, 7, 8, 9, 17 of each. I mean, I could do like 18 blue, 16 red. There's no real reason I need this much red. So like I could cut a Sundown Pass for another blue-white duel, but there's not really a blue-white duel that fits well in my deck. I could cut a mountain for an island. Then my Mistrise Village is coming into play tapped more often. Maybe that's okay, though. 16, 18, yeah. I mean, I need 1 of each color for this and for Charm. But Charm's kind of worse with loot. I think I might play less of those. And honestly, why would I play any if on turn 5 I can't even leave up my 2-drop? Yeah, that's a lot worse. Reverse Pull. So I want to be able to protect my loot, and the best way to protect it is probably Negate. Like on turn 5, Negate or Snare, and I've got the Snares. There's not really creatures that destroy it. I mean, there's a few, though. That being said, Pull can still protect it in a pinch, and then is also counters creatures. I feel like I'd want like 20 blue sources, though, to be able to cast that. I'm kind of far away from that. I've got... Even with my changes, I've just got 18. I could cut the Petrified Hamlets to add more blue, but I don't really want to do that either. I think the Hamlets are going to be good. 3 steps ahead. On turn 6, I could leave up, I could loot plus leave up 3 steps. I think I'll do Negate. Maybe even 2 Negates. How good is Negate in this format? It's a main deck card. There's a lot of Planeswalkers in the set. A lot of the Izzet decks Negate is pretty acceptable against. It's not very good against Izzet Spelementals deck, but it's certainly acceptable. Is it Prowess? It's okay against Prowess. I did say I'm less interested in Corey. If I have Negate, that's definitely true. Maybe I had a mountain back. My Mistrise Villages will come into play on tap more often now. Again, I could even have 2 of these. If I had to play against like blue-white control, I could Petrified Hamlet their Demolition Field and then find a Mistrise, so I'd only really need 1, but maybe if I played 1 early, they demoed it before I could find a Hamlet, I'd want 2. It seems reasonable. 26 lands. Maybe I should have an Essence Scatter in my deck too. Could cut a Snare, 2 Snare, 2 Negate, 2 3 steps. Why do I need 2 Negate? Maybe I don't. Maybe I should go 3 Snare, 1 Negate, 2 3 steps. Snare's not that good against like Spelementals either, though, so maybe this is better. Flashback essentially gives me more optionality with counterspells as well. I think I'll try this. Is this enough removal? I've got like only 3 early game removal spells. That might not be enough, actually. Fire Magic's kind of early game too, I guess. But like maybe one of these Erode should be another Sear, or it could be this card, the Impractical Joke, because it's only 1 mana, even though it's a sorcery. This seems reasonable. I can see maybe wanting 4 Jeskai Revelations. It's so good with the loot. You can play it on turn 5. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is 13 card drawing spells. You do need a lot because essentially 30 cards in my deck are mana sources. But this should be okay, I think. If I have too much of something, I feel like it's these negates. So maybe I cut one of those. But I have a lot of ways to deal with creatures. Why do I want Get Lost? Just have like an answer to enchantments in my deck since I have Flashback. This is probably reasonable, even though I think Erode's slightly better. Only 2 sweepers. But I also have the 2 fire magic. Sear doesn't hit big creatures. 2 negate. I think I might make this a scatter. Honestly, I could maybe play like a syncopate type card, I guess. No, I'm going to go back to negate. I just have a lot of ways to deal with creatures. All right, I'm going to try this. Let's build a sideboard. In my sideboard, I think I'll have a scatter and a flash freeze. It's pretty nice usually. Disdainful stroke. It's probably enough counter spells. I could have like a spell pierce maybe. I'm going to resolve loot against control decks. Do I want some sort of... I have no creatures in my main deck, so... Creature after sideboard would be decent. I can't play Voice of Victory. I only have 8 white sources for creatures, but I could play Squelcher. This might be an okay sideboard card against like blue-white control specifically. Or the mirror. Probably want to null, right? Be nice to have a card that gained life in my sideboard besides Revelation, like something a little cheaper. I can't play Beza. I can't play Authority of the Consuls. What could I play? Isn't there like a white... gain life sorcery? I think maybe it rotated. It's like a bad timely reinforcements. Yeah, it looks like it rotated. It's not in the 2 mana slot. I guess I'm looking at Helix. Got 12 sources, and a lot of times it's going to cost me a life to cast it, but maybe that's okay. I can get flash it back for more life gain. It's just like a bridge against something like red, you know? I'm probably better off just doing like an extra flash freeze against red and say another impractical joke. Wouldn't mind having another way to kill a big creature in the sideboard. Got scatter and stroke, but like maybe I want another Erode. Erode's not very good against Spellmental, so I think Get Lost is better. So maybe I want to Get Lost. In the sideboard, yeah, that's probably fine. Oh, the other card I could play is Barrage. Barrage. 3 mana. No, I'll have a Get Lost. Get Lost is pretty good against Spellmentals. They don't use the map super well. And then I'm going to want some Graveyard Hate for Reanimator decks and stuff, so probably just Lantern in these colors. Again, just can't cast Rest in Peace very easily. Ghost Vacuum maybe, but probably Lantern. And then against discard decks or mid-range decks, I might just want like another Stock Up, probably. Another Consult. Stock Up's, I think, the best one against specifically discard spells. I could see having like 1 Ral as a juke against artifact removal or something. I don't know that it's good. It doesn't sound super good, but maybe Ral. And then maybe just like a Pyroclasm for Badgermole decks. Maybe even 2 Pyroclasms. But I do have the 2 Fire Magic, 2 Impractical Jokes. Okay, well, I think that it'll try this. Not the most difficult deck to build. Obviously, there's a ton of ways to build it. I think this is going to be the way that works best with the mana, though. So, yeah, we'll go with this. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Stick around tomorrow. I'll be posting a video of me playing the deck on ladder. We'll see how it does. We'll try to keep in mind the card choices as we play so we can make changes after a few matches to make the deck better. We'll see you next time.